Good morning, students. In last week, we started with the Edaphic factor, that is soil, in which we studied in last week pedogenesis and the process of pedogenesis, that is soil formation, in which we studied about the process of soil formation includes two heads: weathering of soil forming rocks and addition of organic matter, humification and mineralization. In last week we studied about weathering of soil forming rocks by means of physical weathering, chemical weathering and biological weathering. Today we study about the products of weathering and soil types. The soil which is formed by weathering of soil forming rocks is called embryonic or primary soil. It may mature into following types of soil: residual soil or sedimentary soil, skeletal soil or immature soil, secondary soil or transported soil. Residual soil or sedimentary soil, it is a mature soil lying immediately over the parent rock. Skeletal or immature soil, it is only partly weathered material in which maturation has not occurred. Such type of soil is called as immature soil. Third one, that is secondary soil or transported soil. The transported soil are those in which the weathered parent material has been shifted to different places by the agency of glaciers, streams and rivers. The gravitational forces means the transported soil by means of glaciers, streams and river is called as alluvial soil. The transported soil by gravitational forces as land slices is called as colluvial soil, and soil transported by wind is called eoline soil, and by sandstorms is called as sand dunes, and the soil is transported by standing water and wave action is called as equestrian soil, and by means of oceanic wave is called as marine soil. On the basis of profile development, soils are also classified into zonal, intrazonal and azorial soils. Some soils are called zonal because climate is the foremost control over the process of soil formation. Fully developed or mature soil of a given climatic zone tend to be very similar. Intrazonal soil result from local geological conditions that includes the normal pattern of the soil formation. One type of intrazonal soil is hydromorphic soil, which are formed in areas where the soil becomes waterlogged during formation. Waterlogged soils are not aerated and the normal aerobic breakdown of detritus cannot take place. Thus, hydromorphic soils are rich in organic materials. Second one is halomorphic soil. It is another type of intrazonal soil and it is formed in and semi-arid regions due to water logging. Its chief character is the high salt content. Thus, intrazonal soil shows some inherited and some acquired characters. In contrast, the characteristics of zonal soil are entirely inherited. Alluvial soil is the best example of zonal soil, which is rich in colloids and because it is not leach. It may be rich in nutrient materials but lacks humus. The second dimension is addition of organic matter, humification and mineralization. Organic matter is continuously added to the embryonic soil during soil formation by various living organisms. Plants contribute their deciduous parts at regular intervals, and when each plant dies, it adds its whole body to the soil. Likewise, animals living in and on the soil add their excreta regularly and contribute their own bodies to the substratum when they die. All organic plant debris fallen recently to the ground is called litter. The litter is composed of dead leaves, twigs, woods, dead roots, and various plant products. In thick forest, during each season, there is much accumulation of thousands of tons of such litter on the soil surface. Just below the fresh litter often occur the material derived from preceding season's litter, in which decay or microbial decomposition has been in progress, and this is called duff. The litter is decomposed by combined efforts of soil microbes like bacteria, actinomycetes, and other fungi. The resultant products of decomposition include various kinds of inorganic and organic plant nutrients. They all are incorporated into the mineral particles of sill, which now becomes dark in color. The residual finally divided amorphous, incompletely decomposed black color organic matter, which is added to the mineral matter of soil, is called humus, and the process is called humification. In fact, humus includes two kinds of organic matter: the partially decomposed organic matter that has been derived from litter and excreta of soil animals like centipedes, millipedes, earthworms, mites, spirangles, grasshoppers, etc., which feed on litter or fresh plant material. In a gradual way, all humus is completely decomposed or reduced into simple compounds like carbon dioxide, water, minerals, and salts by a process called mineralization. The rate of humification and humus accumulation are chiefly determined by the organisms involved in the decaying process and the temperature, moisture, nitrogen supply, aeration, and pH of the soil. The decomposition period of litter in the tropical forest varies from 2.5 to 7.2 months. Normally, the nutrient contents of leaf litter closely approximates the annual release of nutrients through decomposition. However, during dry season, the floor of tropical deciduous forest turns bare, means without leaves or any dead part, but still the forest soil store considerable amount of essential nutrients. According to Mishra in 1972, who discovered about 13,301 kilogram per hectare of calcium, 9,378 kilo per hectare of nitrogen and 441 kilo hectare of phosphorus are available for tree growth within a half meter of soil depth. This is all about the addition of organic matter, humidification and mineralization, and also the products of weathering and soil types. Thank you.